What's up, guys? Lightwater here, also known as Shockwater, as it is Holy Paladin Day. Um, this will be the real short guide, and if you guys want to check out the longer one where I rant for a lot longer, there should be a link at the end here. But yeah, let's get into it. So I did all my math. It was fun. 14 pages, not too bad. Took me maybe 8 hours. So this is the easiest healer by far to theorycraft. And honestly, to date, so far, just according to my math and my sims, it looks to be the strongest healer I've theorycrafted so far. I've got two builds, and they're really weird. Essentially, they're both caster paladin. One is melee wings, and the other one is pure caster paladin. That's right, I'm not doing glimmer on either build. It almost seems like heresy to even say that, and I'm scared to say it. Can you imagine the hate I'm gonna get? But yeah, especially as the first person who ran it, but it just didn't come out to be mathematically the best. And I don't know. I've got to get in and play test Holy Paladin just to double check that my math actually does work. But yeah, essentially the main issue here is that spamming a beacon target with Holy Light with an infusion of light proc is insane. It's just too juicy. It's actually quite good to spam beacon targets with infusion light as with flashlight too, but Holy Light takes the cake by a mile. And there's just so many things that buff Holy Light in the tree. So yeah, we'll get into it. So here we go. First build. Build A. This is an Avenging Crusader build. Okay. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, this is the build. I can show you the other one in a bit, but basically you're just fishing for random awakening procs from the Talon Awakening, and you're using the melee wings, and it doesn't cost mana when you get the random one. So it's a huge, it's pretty insane. Because normally Avenging Crusader is 10% of your mana, but you can get a random proc of it. And if you have enough haste, you can actually Judgment twice during it. And Judgment buffs the damage that Crusader Strike does through another talent, which is very nice. So yeah, that's what you use your Awakening procs on. And everything outside of actually hard-casted wings or Awakening proc wings is you just farming Holy Power to fish for more Awakening procs to get back into melee wings. That's the whole build. And then when you're in wings, you can extend it with Hammer of Wrath and Judgment by 0.5 seconds. Hammer of Wrath also farms you Holy Power. Yeah. Other than that, the build is pretty simple. If you take these talents, you use Consecration as a heal, an AoE heal on the ground. I took Divine Toll. I didn't take Improved Divine Toll because you run out of points. Oh yeah, so in your downtime when you don't have a Wings proc, you're going to use Tears, Deliverance, and its buff over here, Boundless Salvation. This will have an uptime of 60 seconds every 90 seconds, and it just makes you spam Holy Lights. Like you have to make sure that you're tracking these buffs, and you're going to heal the people with the buffs to extend it to max duration. Pretty cool midi game, honestly, and should have a big payout when you combine it with talents like Resplendent Light, which unfortunately doesn't transfer through Beacon, but that's fine. And you could even take Barrier of Faith, but that's for the caster build, honestly. This is just something to do in your downtime when you don't have a Wings proc, and this is just buffing your Holy Lights, which you're doing. You're just spamming. Also, I didn't really like the idea of spamming a single beacon or moving around a beacon, and I mathed it out. And Beacon of Virtue actually applies 4 50% beacons for some reason. So, turns out that Beacon of Virtuing right after an Awakening proc is really insane. So imagine you Light of Dawn, boom, you get Awakening. First thing you do, Beacon of Virtue. Slam that Judgment. It's going to do so much healing. I can't really get into the math of how much healing is in this video because I'm trying to keep it short, but it is a lot of healing. It's a stupid amount of healing. Let's talk about Oh yeah, and when you're in wings, it's Beacon of Virtue, Judgment, Crusader Strike, then Hammer of Wrath, Consecration, and then either Word of Glory or Light of Dawn. One thing you should note: use Word of Glory when your beacons fall off, and other way around. Use Word of Glory when you have your beacons up. Use Light of Dawn when your beacons fall off. This is because Light of Dawn only gets half beacon scaling. So, all right, here we go. Build B. It's very, very similar to build A. The only difference is it's just ranged wings, which means you don't have to even play in melee when you get a wings proc. But everything else is the same. You take barrier though because you're doing even more ranged healing spam, even more holy lights on beacon targets, diffusion of lights, all that kind of jazz. This build's gonna want crit mastery. Build A, which is the melee one, wants haste, right? The reason why being you want crit is you never want to not have an infusion light proc, and you can actually benefit from mastery. One issue with melee wings is it doesn't benefit from mastery at all, so very unfortunate. You get the plus 20% crit on the wings too, which is super cool. You should have like 100% crit chance on your Holy Shock, I think, with this build. Barrier talent's really insane for this. Everything else is kind of just the same. I mean, you're gonna take different talents over here because you don't really care about the damage talents. This build is not gonna do any damage. The only thing you're gonna throw out is you're gonna throw out Hammer of Wrath for Holy Power, and you will get the cooldown reset quite a bit. This build does have to play in medium range because you don't have long range Light of Dawn, but you can definitely change it out if you have to. Although you'd probably be losing. I don't know. You'd probably have to lose this talent for it, which is rough, because that's pretty much like infinite free holy power. Yeah. Same thing as the other one. Consecration, Divine Toll. This one pretty much uses Beacon of Virtue on cooldown because there's not like an intense moment or like a moment you're trying to use it around. Tears of Deliverance on cooldown, just like the other one. Hammer of Wrath when you can. Lay on Hands, Wings, Bury Your Faith. I mean, it's the same exact shit, just even easier and no melee wings. You just have no wings, right? So, yeah, that's the two builds, guys. I know I went through that really fast. Basically, A is hoping it gets wing procs. B is hoping to get wing procs, but B doesn't change its playstyle when it does get a wing proc. So B is the caster version. Kind of like classic World of Warcraft, I guess. You're just spamming Holy Light on people. And you only cast Holy Shock when you need infusion of light buffs. So basically it's Holy Shock, Holy Light, Holy Light, Holy Shock, Holy Light, Holy Light. The Holy Lights will reduce the Holy Shock cooldown with this talent right here. So even with just an average amount of haste, that should pretty much reduce the cooldown to where it's back up when you need it again. And there's just a lot of things that buff Holy Light, right? 10% here, technically 40% here, 40% here, 25% here. I mean, it's just insane, right? This makes it give 0.3 basically holy power back. It innately gets 1 holy power every time you cast it on a person with beacon. It gives 1 holy power every time you cast it on a person when you have infusion of light. You get 1% of your max mana back when you cast it with infusion of light. So yeah, it's not even so much about the fact that you want to do healing with the holy light. It's like the 17 things that come along with holy light that really make it worth casting, which is pretty much all the free holy power. So yeah, that's really it. Paladin gets a lot of free stats, which is nice. A lot of haste and crit for free. Yeah, I mean, you get 8% mastery when you're in your wings, which is really cool. So this is actually something I need to test to make sure that this buff stays up even when you get like proc wings on proc wings. But oh yeah, I don't know if I've gone over it yet. I went over it in the other video, but you don't get to use your holy power whenever you want. You need to use your holy power at 5, and it goes down to 2, go back to 3, spend it, go to 0. That's the pattern every single time. Have 5, spend a 2, build 1, spend a 0, build back up to 5. Instant repeat. And this is all because of these two talents here. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on 10% increased healing and 10% reduced cooldowns. So, and for the melee build, you're going to also miss out on 10% damage. So, yeah, it's not really negotiable. That's too big of a buff, in my opinion. There's also almost no downside to forcing you to play that way. It's just annoying. You know, it's going to be a weak ore that you have to do. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, or I guess you could just go watch the other video too. But there's kind of a bit, kind of just speed running this. Oh yeah, the range build doesn't really care to do Crusader striking. I took it on the melee one. You know, it's worth it. Yeah, basically I'm just surprised that neither Paladin really wants Holy Shock with Glimmer. And most of the reason is because Holy Shock costs 3.2% mana, and everything else is just so dim efficient, printing Holy Power, and then the Holy Power abilities are so strong that even an 8-target Glimmer haste build, it just, you know, it just doesn't quite do the healing that a Holy Word does, and it costs much mana. And, you know, how do you get Holy Shock off cooldown? Crusader Strike. Well, Crusader Strike also costs a lot of mana, right? So that's kind of just the issue right now. And with all these new talents buffing the hell out of Holy Light, it's kind of a caster meta right now for Paladin, in my opinion. So yeah, you have this really cool build that will use melee damage procs, which is, if you guys like doing damage, that's fun, you know. But if you guys just want to stay like a mid-ranged ranged healer the whole time, and basically just running in the drop Consecration for a buff, or just drop it with the range stack, that works too. And then Beacon of Barrier of Faith, the tank. Both builds play Beacon of Virtue. I guess in theory you could switch this, but the melee one definitely wants Beacon of Virtue. The range one, I could see an argument for running double Beacon. So, you know, I figured that with Beacon of Virtue, it would synergize a lot better by having multiple beacons out that were smartly applied when you have Tears Deliverance and Barrier of Faith, right? So you really do want to actually be doing effective healing on targets that actually need it, and the only way to do that is to have multiple choices of the beacons, because you want to heal beacon targets because of this thing right here. It's really insane. One Holy Power is worth so much. So yeah, it is a degenerate playstyle, but looks to be the best way to heal. I mean, I don't know how difficult it'll be to pull off in a raid when people need healing. I mean, at the end of the day, just using an Infusion of Light, Holy Light on somebody is still fairly decent and efficient. But yeah, you really do want to be actually click healing your Beacon of Virtue targets with Holy Light, and just using Beacon of Virtue on cooldown as the caster build. So that's pretty much what's shown to be the most numbers. And just from my math alone, it looks like basically it's like a 7th over even the next strongest healer. So it performed well, and assuming you can use all of your mana, Holy Paladin should be like 10-15% higher than the healers I've theorycrafted so far. I still haven't done Disc Priest or Resto Druid or Shaman, and I probably won't be able to get to them, I'll be honest, I'm out of time. So thanks for watching, guys. That's my guide, I guess. It's super fast, but you know, the other one has more information if you're, you know, if you want to sit through an hour video. So thanks for watching, guys.